What's good, Commanders fans? Quick video here before the day really gets started. The Commanders will be visiting Jayden Daniels today, and it's very interesting. Dan Quinn was just on the radio, 106.7 The Fan. I'm going to talk about Adam Peters, some quotes that I thought stood out from yesterday at the Combine and his press conference, and then, of course, them meeting with Jayden Daniels. And they have changed the FedEx, the stadium will no longer be named FedEx. John Kine reported that the Commanders will be losing revenue for that. But, Josh Harris will figure it out. He put $75 million towards upgrades for the stadium. That was announced yesterday as well. So we know he's got a plan. He's got everything figured out. Everything should work out as far as the stadium and getting a new stadium in the future. So I'm not really worried about FedEx taking the name away, but it is what it is on that part. So he was on the radio, and they asked him to play games like word association, one word for each player to describe each player. He's Terry McLaurin, explosive. Jonathan Allen, dominant. Sam Howell, tough. Caleb Williams, DC, as in Washington, D.C. Drake May, athletic. And then Jayden Daniels, game changer. Now, out of all the guys, I think the word, and I don't want to get too much in just a word game on the radio, and I know people are definitely going to take this and probably run with it, but calling Jayden Daniels a game changer is definitely a huge compliment for sure. And then out of the three guys, to say athletic about Drake May, that's cool and fine and stuff like that, but to say an actual game changer, a guy that can control the game and change the game, and Jayden Daniels, I think that's a pretty ringing endorsement. Now, like I said, just because he said that does not mean that Adam Peters and him will end up drafting Jayden Daniels, but they have the meeting today. We'll see how that goes. Adam Peters did say that the meeting is super, super important because you want to get to know these guys as people, as a man and stuff like that. So, man, that's huge. And Jayden Daniels, he certainly is a game changer. You saw what he did his last year at LSU. The big-time throws, the big-time runs, 1,000 yards on the ground, a bunch of big passes to Malik Neighbors and other guys out there. He was a game changer. That's why he won the Heisman. He's just got to stay healthy, which he has. My biggest concern is him taking hits, and a lot of people are concerned about that, and just his frame. He does get ragdolled a lot out there. But, if he can work on those intermediate throws, Cliff Kingsbury working on his game and whatnot, man, he can definitely be a franchise quarterback and a game changer for DC for the next 10 to 15 years. For sure. He is an electric, explosive player. Big-time throws, big-time runs. He can make guys miss for sure, and he can scamper up the field for 50 yards easily on any given play. So he is a game. One of those big runs he pulls out or one of those big-time throws, he can certainly change the game. So Dan Quinn, I think he sees what he likes for sure. He sees what he likes for sure. But like I said, I'm not going to take too much stock into him just saying that he is a game changer. So that is intriguing. So I do want to get into some of the quotes here from Adam Peters. I guess I'll start with Cam Curl first, and then I'll get into the Sam Howell, because those are the two things that really stood out to me the most. Just talking about the roster and what he's going to do. Not saying what he's going to do with those guys, but he did have one statement where he said, talking about Brock Purdy, he said, now I have to find a new quarterback. And I think people kind of ran with that a little bit too. It's kind of just an obvious thing, really. Like, we know we're going to draft a quarterback. Like, I know Rappaport said yesterday that they may think about trading back and stuff like that. They got to think about every option. They're not going to trade back. They're going to stay and draft whatever quarterback. And they may try to trade up, but I think they're most likely just going to stay number 2 and either take Drake May or Jayden Daniels. I think, honestly, if I had to flip a coin or make a pick, I think it would be Jayden Daniels, but who knows? We still got a couple weeks to go until the draft in a month. But let's get to Cam Curl, guys who are currently on the roster. Adam Peters said, I can just say from playing against Cam Curl when I was in San Francisco, he was always one of the best players on defense. A guy we had to watch out for, a guy we had to game plan for, so a lot of respect for him. I've heard great things about him. We're going to definitely explore that and see if it fits into our overall plan. So this is super important. He did go on Grant and Danny and say that they're not going to use the franchise tag. Most likely, they're not going to use it on any player. I don't think it needs to be used on any free agent this year. Like Curtis Samuel, solid, but not good enough to use the franchise tag on. We already have receivers. Other than him, Cam Curl just doesn't force turnovers enough. I know it's like an easy way out to say, but he just has to make more game-changing plays. He's a good player, solid player, great player for being a 7th-round pick. He's been super consistent, always in the right place at the right time. Great tackle, great tackler. He gets his hands on the football here and there, deflections. We know he can cover tight ends, sometimes go out there and cover receivers at times. That Buffalo nickel, positional flex, all that. He's the leader of the defense. Sometimes he's out there calling plays. He stepped up as a captain over the past couple of years. So good player. And if he's not going to be here, another team definitely will spend money on him. But just to spend, I got to see what his spot track is. But he's just not impactful enough, and much as he's not a game changer. Just like Dan Quinn said, he's a good player, but he just doesn't change the game. He doesn't make enough impactful plays to go to season without 0 interceptions and 0 forced fumbles. You can at least get one peanut punch and make a play and force a fumble, or just luck and fall into an interception. And like I said, that's not the end all be all to evaluate a player. You can have a couple interceptions and still get beat. Like, we've seen that before with players. But as far as Cam Crow, you just gotta, like, if he's looking for the money that he's asking for, we know his dad has said certain things about how much he wants and stuff like that. His market value on Spotrac right now is $14 million, like a 4-year, $57 million contract. So I can see something like that. I do see, like, you look at Derwin James, he has a 4-year, $76 million contract, $19 million a year. Minka Fitzpatrick, $18 mil. Marcus Williams, $14 mil. So I can see him getting around 10. I would probably give him around 10 to 12, honestly, because he just doesn't force turnovers. I hate to keep saying that, but it just, you got to give me one. Like, I don't think he had any interceptions again this year. His rookie year was when he was forcing it, and that's when they played the Niners against Nick Mullins, when he had that pick 6. And he was making plays, getting interceptions. He had, 3 interceptions his rookie year and 1 touchdown, 2 sacks. The past 3 seasons, 0 interceptions. 1 forced fumble this year, 1 fumble recovery. So it's about time he did that. And then the past 2 seasons didn't force a fumble or do anything like that. So he just has to force a turnover, make a play. He's got to make an impactful play. And we just don't see that enough from Cameron Curl. The Rams game where he got back and forth with people on Twitter, where he got beat deep. He was arguing with people on Twitter saying that they didn't know the scheme and the coverage, and, it is what it is on that. But this year, I'm not going to say he had a down season, but it's not like he was dominating this year either to be like, oh, we're just going to give you $18 million. Like, heck no, I can't do that. I can't do that at all. 69% completion percentage allowed, which is solid. And then quarterback rating was 108.3. Some of it's not all his fault because the defense was just atrocious. But, those numbers right there is just not good enough. 116.6 quarterback rating allowed the year before, and then 76% completion percentage given up in 2022. So just not good enough. But Adam Peters saying the right things. He knows Cam Crow is a talented player and is a guy that we definitely should try our best to keep around. But franchise tag, no, and I'm not going to overpay if it's a bidding war or anything like that. He also said it's not going to be a big spending spree. We're not going to go out and blow out all the money in year one. We're going to build a competitive team with the right types of guys and have a great draft after that. Let's get into the Sam Howell stuff here. He did say that him and Sam walked around the stadium. They had a good talk and stuff like that. And that's just normal. That's what you should do, especially with the quarterback's position. You should get to know the guy, like whether you are going to stick with him or not. Or he might have had a conversation and be like, hey, look, we talked to the Rams, and the Rams have been calling us. The Patriots have been calling us. The Jets have been calling us. They want Aaron Rodgers to mentor you and help develop you, and you sit behind him for a year or two. Maybe you can end up like Jordan Love did, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, and he's playing really well. We're moving in a different direction. We're going to draft a quarterback. You know this. If we get your guy Drake May said in the interview with Adam Schefter that it would be odd for them to be in the same room competing against each other, but at the end of the day, it would be competitive. But yeah, like maybe that was a conversation that they had when they went around Commanders Park and rode around or whatever. That could have been the conversation that they had. But, so I didn't really take too much from that. But it's just good to know that he's talking to guys, which is what he should do as the general manager. You should get to know every player that's on the roster at this point right now. Like even Logan Thomas, if they're going to cut him, if he's a cap casualty, have a relationship with him, talk with him, Charles Leno, people like that. Who cares? You should have some type of relationship with everybody on the team in some way or some capacity for sure. Trying to think of anything else stood out. He said good things about Eugene Shin. We've had a really good dialogue. He can work with coach and personnel, free agent pricing. He's been really enthusiastic. I'm excited to work with him. He did talk about that. On improving Commanders players' experience, he said, you guys know how construction goes. It doesn't go real fast. So it's going to take time. He said him and Cliff Kingsbury have not talked much specifically on Caleb Williams. That's not true. We know that. He's been saying that all presser. In the Dan Quinn presser, saying that they have not talked about the quarterback position a lot. That's just this cop-out of not trying to answer the question. They know they definitely have had some conversations. They probably had conversations in the interview, like since day one. So we know that they have spoke about that. He said he feels really good about Sam Howell too. So he said nothing but good things about Sam Howell. I mean, he just answered questions very professional and just the way you're supposed to. Like, you're not supposed to give up too much information. Like I said, I'm still a little under the weather. He said good things about Brock Purdy. He said if we thought he was that good, we probably wouldn't have waited until the last pick. Now I got to find a new quarterback. You know, they drafted Trey Lance. It didn't work out. People are saying that was Kyle Shanahan's move. That was not his move. And drafting Trey Lance. So I'll wrap it up right there, guys. He said it's really hard to evaluate quarterbacks. He did talk about the Wonderlic test and C.J. Stroud, how it didn't work out for C.J. Stroud, but he's just a darn good player. So it's kind of like, you know, how much stock can you really take in that test? So we'll see how other guys do it, but do with that test. But yeah, calling Jayden Daniels a game changer, man. He is a game changer. He's got to work on the intermediate throws and whatnot, and just staying healthy, staying upright. Like, I mean, he stayed healthy for the most part of his career, but just, you know, against those guys in the NFL is going to be different. It's going to be different for sure. So those are only concerns with Jayden Daniels. I like him a lot. He's a game changer, in my opinion, too. So he's an electric player. So Dan Quinn seems like he likes Jayden Daniels. All right, guys, let me know what you guys think. Hail to Commanders. Peace.